for December 16th, 2020 to order. Julia, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, thank you, President Silla. Borstein?
Yes, here.
Gaffney?
Here.
Kelly?
Yes, here.
Thank you. Megs?
Here.
Silla?
Here.
All present. Thank you.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now I'd like to adjourn to closed session. So I will see those of you joining there on the other link. And there's nothing to report from our closed session. So I'd like to move on to approval of agenda. And I propose that we move our item 13, which is consideration of the Cassell financial software up to the, let's say, right after open time for public. And then move 12 to be after that, all before committees report out. Is that amenable to everyone?
It's amenable to me, and I so move.
Okay,
Second.
great. Okay, then can I have somebody move the agenda with those changes?
Doug did, and I seconded it.
Okay, does that comport with your record keeping, Julia, as to be a proper motion? Okay, great. All right, so thank you. Go to agenda item.
Oh, I'm sorry, President Silla, we do need to do a roll call though, if that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. A second roll call?
Great.
Roll call.
We haven't done a roll call to vote for the agenda.
Apologies. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Borstein?
Yes.
Gaffney?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Megs?
Yes.
Silla?
Yes.
Unanimous vote. Thank you.
I forgot we had to vote. Okay, item number 13, consideration of authorizing the general manager upon review and approval of council to execute an agreement with Cassell for hosted financial software and services and $55,000 for the initial payment. Felicia, do you want to introduce this item?
Yes, thank you, President Silla. So the district currently uses for its accounting software QuickBooks, which is not entirely designed for governmental accounting purposes. So we've been looking at a few different specifically designed government accounting software solutions for the past actually couple of years. And in the last budget, we had identified some funds to actually pursue the upgrade of our financial software in this fiscal year. So we interviewed 4 different finance software solutions, Cassell, Springbrook, and then 2 software solutions by the same parent company, Tyler. One's called Munis and one's called Encode. They all presented to staff, finance staff, did their individual demos with us. We reviewed them for, user interface, customer support, overall functionality, reporting, and workflows, their training and implementation programs, and their California references and price points. And unanimously, the finance department of the Ross Valley Sanitary District chose Cassell. And we were additionally pleased to report that they have a very competitive price point. Their implementation costs are shown on page 2 of the staff report, and their annual subscription costs as well compared to the other 3 vendors. The board may be interested to know that the current subscription costs that the the district is incurring for its financial software solutions is less than $10,000. So this will be an increase for subscription costs, annual subscription costs with this upgraded software. So with that, I'd like to introduce Wade, who is here with Cassell, to give a brief introduction on his company, and be happy to answer any questions the board or the public may have about this financial software improvement. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us and taking the time out in your busy schedule. So, yeah, if you could allow me to share my screen, that would be awesome.
Let me know if you
All
have
right.
issues or if that's the right one.
Okay, I will. Let's see here. Okay. I am trying. Just 1 second here. There's my family. Yeah, you don't want to see that. Let's see.
Do they work for Cassell?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
You can see my screen all right? All right, I think we're good to go here. Okay, well again, thanks for having me. I'm Wade Walker, I'm the territory manager for Cassell. I cover the West Coast, and I also have on the phone with us Amy Gamble, who is my fantastic demo specialist, and she's been with Cassell for 30 years now, so very tenured employee, and if we have any questions, I'm sure we can bounce them off of her. But real quickly, I just wanted to highlight Cassell and some of the reasons why Cassell is such a good choice. But I can go on and brag all about Cassell, and it carries a little bit of weight, but not as much as our customers carry when they tell us how wonderful Cassell is. And right here, I have the screen that's currently up. It's several testimonials from our customers. We have a lot of them out there, almost 1,300 nationwide, but I've highlighted a few in California, and I'd just like to read the top middle one. It's short and sweet and to the point. It says, Cassell is creative, awesome, and makes my life easier. And ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to make your life easier by giving you software solutions that are proven, and that they're going to streamline a lot of your processes. So why Cassell? So Cassell, we were established roughly the same, well, we were established the same year I was established, in 1978. So I say that all the time, but I don't forget that one. It's an easy one for me to remember. But we've been in business for 42 years now. We've never been bought, sold, merged, anything like that. So we're going strong. We were developed by a CPA who also had an auditing firm in Utah back in the 70s. He basically felt like there had to be an easier way to maintain data, to input data, to retrieve the data, because after all, if you can't retrieve the data, what good is the system you're using? So he had a large family, sent most of his kids to school to become developers and CPAs themselves, and they started the undertaking of creating and developing the Cassell software back in the early 70s and was officially the company in 1978. We have a strict focus on government and special service districts. We have over 40 integrated software modules to help customize and tailor a program that's going to best fit your needs. So we want to make sure that you have the correct modules out of the gate that are, when you go live, that you're going to take advantage of and use. We don't want to ever sell you anything that you're not going to be able to take advantage of. We are a Microsoft partner that allows us to do some really cool things between Excel and Cassell. For example, we have a My Excel add-in for the general ledger that majority of our customers use that is a big wow factor. It allows a direct query into the GL database in real time. So as you're customizing reports in this My Excel add-in, it queries the data immediately as you change the dates or change anything with it. So a very cool tool for your board members and for other reports that you need to come up with. We are SQL-based, which is the latest and greatest technology out there. We were Access database, and then when Microsoft decided to change, we changed with them. So it was a huge undertaking. We rewrote our software to fit the SQL database, and it's great. It allows for more security, a lot more data input, and easier data retrieval, and a lot more customization. And the reason I bring that up is because with Cassell, we definitely want to keep up with the times and offer you the best technology that's out there. We offer both server and hosted options. You are considering the hosted option, which is great. It works perfect for a district like yourself. So there is variations within server-based and hosted options within the cost. But as far as the overall system performs and functions, it looks exactly as it would in a server-based environment. We have some super duper flexible reporting. One of the highlights that most of the cities or municipalities or special service districts say when they come over to Cassell from other vendors is that our reporting is second to none. We have a ton of pre-canned reports within each module, but if there's something there that isn't pre-canned that you need, we're 99.9% confident that we can get you the reports that you do need because of our flexibility. We are a debt-free company, which is really cool. We're not held captive by venture capitalists. We're privately held. We control the destiny of Cassell, and we like to turn that over to our customers. And how we acquire knowledge and data from our customers is by having user groups. We have these throughout the nation in various states every year. Typically within California, we do one in southern one year and one in the northern area another. And we'll send out our product experts to solicit feedback for a day and a half of what we're doing well, what we can improve on, and then those product experts also are there to train and to show some tips and tricks with the software. So it's a great learning environment and also a fantastic way for us to retrieve feedback on what we are doing well and what we can improve on. And then essentially we take that information to our development meetings that happen monthly. And if there's a suggestion that's come up that's going to benefit a majority of our customers, we want to work that within a future update. And at Cassell, our updates happen quarterly. We also understand that it's important that you not only attend the user groups when you can, but also our annual conference, because as you know, software is always changing. It's never staying stagnant. So please attend our annual user conference if at all possible. It's a great way for you to come out and to learn more about the software, what the new enhancements are that are taking place, gives you the opportunity to also mingle with other Cassell users. And it also rotates in October, second or third week of October between Salt Lake City and Las Vegas. So please attend those if you can. And we have some excellent support. Matt Esplin is the director of our support team, and he does a phenomenal job. When I was last in the office, we have these big monitors throughout the office that lets us know our callback time, and it was just under 30 minutes for a callback. So they're doing a great job, especially with the COVID that's going on right now. They're trying to keep on top of that, and actually our support time callback has gone down. So we're proud about that. We do have some tenured employees. The average tenure is roughly 10 years. Obviously, Amy that I introduced earlier has brought that average up. But the reason I bring this up is because as you call in to support to get the help that you need, you're going to get used to talking to some of the same individuals that are over the finance team or over the payroll team, and they take a valued interest in your concerns as well and want to get you the help that you need. We do also have CPAs on staff, and a lot of our, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but some of our employees have also come from other special service districts and cities. They've held various roles, so they do have an understanding of what you're dealing with, and that's kind of nice to have. I mentioned earlier we do have 1,300 customers now nationwide. When I took over California about 7 years ago, they gave me the initiative to work and grow California. And we were roughly at about 15 customers. We're just over 40 customers in California and can steadily adding several customers each year. One of the things I like to always bring up is that we have software for life with our package. So as long as you're paying your maintenance and support fees with Cassell, you'll always have the latest and greatest version of Cassell. So when we come out with an upgrade, you don't have to go back to the board for additional funding. It's already covered within your maintenance and support fees. You'll get that upgrade automatically. We went to this module several years ago, and it's helped us support our customers better because at one time we were supporting 3 different versions of Cassell, and this has allowed everybody to move to the most recent version and allows no customer essentially left behind. Okay, so where are our customers? I just want to show a quick map here. You can see that we've started out in Utah and have exploded from there over into the upper Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, that area. We do have some resellers back there that assist us in selling Cassell, but just wanted to kind of give you an idea. I don't want to go over every little pinpoint here. It'll take us all night, right? So we'll keep moving. And then here is our map of our Cassell customers to give you an idea of where they sit. Some that are closer to you up towards one of my favorite cities in San Francisco. You can see that City of Piedmont is right there across the bay from you. Lake County Vector Control District's just above you. So just to kind of give you an idea of where majority of our customers sit within California. And some of the references that we've supplied Felicia with are listed here just to give you an idea. So that being said, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I just wanted to give a brief introduction of Cassell and then answer any questions that you may have regarding Cassell as the company or the software or the pricing, anything that you do have.
Thank you. The Finance Committee saw this presentation, and so particularly, yeah, Doug, do you have questions?
I have 2 questions. They're both the same. What, in light of the fact that at some point, Ross Valley may be interested in the permitting and inspection software, what is the additional cost of the permitting and inspection software modules?
Yeah, I can get that cost to Felicia. I think I've sent proposals with that in there. A lot depends on how many individual entities there are that you're over as far as the permitting cost goes. So I believe I've worked up the cost, like I mentioned, to Felicia.
Felicia?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you right off the top of my head, but if I had to give you a round number, I would say it was about double implementation costs with the permitting and inspections modules added to the finance software. So instead of the $25,000 contract for implementation, it was closer to $50,000. As far as the annual maintenance, I don't recall specifically. So you are looking at another very robust set of sort of software systems that, and another whole set of license users, like I think Wade was just referring to. Our finance and accounting department has a different set of users than our permitting and inspections department would have. So it's like I said, you can anticipate about the same amount again for that new system. The nice thing about it is that of course they would be integrated. So cash receiving, the accounts receivable portion of permitting and inspections would feed directly into our accounting software, whereas now we're doing a lot of manual processes, taking in checks, reporting them in SharePoint, which doesn't talk at all, to our QuickBooks finance software. So there would be efficiencies with adding those modules.
What are we using for permitting and inspection software now? And are you happy with it?
SharePoint, Microsoft, and no, I hate it.
I mean, SharePoint.
I have a hate-hate relationship with SharePoint.
SharePoint is basically Google Doc in the cloud, right? It's not
it's not designed to be a permitting software. So somebody at some point in the district decided to create new form. They're called Nintex forms, and we have to pay a whole separate subscription to Nintex to create these forms, which are out of date every July 1 when the district increases our fees. And then we have to reprogram. We have to actually hire somebody to reprogram the Nintex form when we want to increase our fees. And permitting software, off-the-shelf permitting software like what Cassell has and what many other permitting and inspections departments that I'm familiar with, that's built into the software.
My other question is, when did Cassell move to SQL? It should have been a number of years ago, I assume.
Wade?
Yeah, we moved to SQL. It's roughly been about 10 years now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all from me.
Thank you. Pam?
Did we not replace our computer system in the last, not too long ago? I can't remember. Did we not do a bunch of computer?
This is a software package. This is not like the hardware of computers.
But didn't we do some software stuff too, Felicia?
I don't know.
Upgrade or something.
I don't know exactly when the district adopted QuickBooks. We adopted the timekeeping.
I can barely hear you.
Oh, the audio is bad. Let me see if
That's
I
a little better. Yeah.
Is that a little better? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when the district adopted or decided to go to QuickBooks. I think it might have been in the 2012, 2013 range. But again, it's an inadequate finance software for us because it's not designed for governmental accounting. So then with regards to our payroll system, time control, I know that was implemented in 2015, right before I got here. But the problem with time control, which is the payroll, which is the timekeeping system, is again, it doesn't talk to QuickBooks. So we wind up having to do a lot of manual processes just to get payroll out every week.
I see. And this is a question. Oh, were you done? You're done? Okay.
Yes.
This is a question for, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. The sales rep.
Wade.
This way.
What, do you have many districts in the Bay Area? I only saw one or two. Looks like you cover mostly south of San Francisco. Is that right?
Well, we have a lot more special service districts in southern Utah, but we're acquiring a lot more up towards the Bay Area. Brook Trails, CSD, we just signed contracts with first of the year.
I know where Brook Trails is. It's right where my daughter lives, right north of Willits, right? It's not a city,
Yep.
County.
Yeah.
Right, so that's
Yep.
teeny tiny. Do you have any like big contracts in the Bay Area?
Well, Piedmont City is relatively decent size.
Okay.
That'll run a lot of the same modules that you'll run with your financials and your payroll, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and Half Moon Bay is farther
Yeah,
south, but
I couldn't tell on the map with the little button things. So, and I was just looking at this California references, but I don't see anything that's near us or around us. So that's why I asked the question. Okay, thank you.
yeah, you bet.
Let me get back in. Mary, if I may.
Mhm.
The modules that you're implementing, can you tell me exactly which modules you're implementing on this?
Yeah, it's in here.
Because well, let me ask you this. I'm sorry. You're not doing payroll. Felicia, you're saying we're doing payroll through QuickBooks? Is that payroll or is that time and attendance? There's two different things.
We're going to actually be.
I think that was
Go
from
ahead.
Felicia.
Yeah, sorry.
A little lag.
Yeah, so Yeah, I'm sorry. I can call in. Currently, we're using two different systems. One's, like you said, the timekeeping, and one's payroll processing. And timekeeping is done by a separate software called Time Control. And then our payroll processing is done through QuickBooks, and they don't talk to one another. So with Cassell, we would have one system for timekeeping and payroll processing. Does that answer your question?
It does.
This is Doug's bread and butter also, so I'm happy you're asking as many questions as you are, Doug. Yes, Michael.
I'd just like to once again say that I'm very pleased that we chose to do a hosted server rather than trying to do it ourselves, because as Pam pointed out, hardware here can be very expensive, and it doesn't matter because we're basically just calling in to the software because it's actually hosted in the cloud, not actually at RVSD. So for instance, let's say we implemented this right now. When we move over to a new building, whenever that should happen to be, we don't have to worry about moving any software or hardware platforms with us for Cassell. It's just once we're on the internet, whether you're at home because of COVID or anywhere else on the planet, if you're licensed, you can get into the software and run it from there. They do all the upgrading of software. They take care of everything for us. And that's really a beautiful thing, because it's what, you know, in our mission statement, it doesn't say maintain software. It says move poop from one place to another. And so we let somebody else this is their expertise do it. And I think that's great.
Thank you. One thing that I asked at some point was whether the annual fees, and I think it was as the result of another agenda item we had in front of the Finance Committee. How long do we have guaranteed the $30,000 per year as our annual maintenance subscription cost? I know you're offering to upgrade us continually as long as we pay our annual subscription costs, but is that I can't imagine that's a static number. I imagine you have to raise that every once in a while.
You're correct. It is raised every once in a while, 2 to 5% of what you're paying, so very minimal. And those don't happen every year. Just we take a look at inflation and cost of doing business, and we determine if we need to raise that 2 to 5% every couple of years.
And the contract we're considering today is for how many? Does that guarantee the $30,000 a year for a number of years, or just 1 year? Or?
Just the beginning year, once all the modules are up and live.
Okay. And just if anybody didn't, I think only one board member didn't attend the Finance Committee as public. It's going to take about a year to get this up and running because of the complicated, importing of accounts or whatever they're called in this world. So it's a process. Might not happen until we're living at 111 Anderson, as a matter of fact. All right, any public comment on this item? I see callers, so I want to be sure I'm taking our public in if there are people who are public. Any other questions from the board? All right, if not, I'd entertain a motion.
I would move that we consideration of authorizing, we move that the general manager, upon review and approval of council, to execute an agreement with Cassell for hosted financial software and services in the amount not to exceed $55,000 even.
I'd second that.
Thank you. Julia, roll call vote, please.
Yes, thank you. Borstein,
Yes.
Gaffney,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Megs,
Yes.
Scylla,
Yes.
unanimous vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Felicia. Thank you, Wade. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Andrea, after saying that I was going to move these items to after public comment, I didn't take public comment. So my question is now, shall we go back and do agenda item number 7 and go to 12, or just go to 12?
Yeah, I hadn't seen that. Yeah, you should, if you were going to do that after public comment, let's go and do the public comment now.
Apologies.
offer it.
All right, so now open time for public to raise items not on the agenda or for future agendas. Do we have any public who wish to speak during public comment? All right, no harm, no foul. Then we'll move on to former agenda item 12, which is consideration of adopting resolution 2015-99, approving final acceptance and authorizing the general manager to file a notice of completion for the Larkspur Landing excavation and remediation project, 2000 Larkspur Landing Circle with ERRG. Steve, what a day.
Thank you, President Zilla and members of the board. I'm pleased to report that we are at the point with the cleanup project at 2000 Larkspur Landing Circle to recommend that we file a notice of completion. As with the other construction projects we've completed this year, whether it was gravity sewer or pump station improvements, in order for us to release retention to the contractor, we do this final step and then record the completed project with the county. That sets forth a clock, a 35-day clock per our standard contract that allows us to release the 5% of the contract amount back to the contractor. So that we hold that in retention just to ensure completion of the project in accordance with contract specification. So that's what we're asking the board to approve today. But I also wanted to, given the gravity of this project and the momentous occasion after 2 years almost of pulling together EPA approval, and which was not trivial, and then ultimately going out to bid and doing construction of the excavation and remediation over 2 construction seasons. I provided a more detailed report, and at the finance committee we went into great detail over some of the financial aspects of the project. But now I'm pleased to have Todd Miller, who was the project manager for this project, from site characterization through design of the remediation project and securing of EPA approval, and then bidding the project, and then overseeing construction management and engineering services during construction. And Todd Miller of Kennedy Jenks is now working on the completion report, which we have an attachment to this board package for your information, an executive summary of that completion report, and a bullet list of some of the items that EPA in a meeting in October indicated needed to be part of that completion report in order to ultimately have the sign off that 2000 Larkspur Landing Circle does not have any restrictions with respect to contaminated soils, and that from a land use perspective, from that point forward, from EPA approval of this completion report, this land will have no encumbrance with related to contamination. As my predecessor, Greg Norby, set the pathway, working with you, the board, with the goal of having unrestricted land use going forward. That doesn't happen until EPA gives their final approval of the completion report. And as indicated in this staff report, they've asked us to provide a draft completion report. They will provide comments. Todd will help us incorporate those comments from EPA into a final report. And then that, when they've accepted the final report, will be the point where indeed 2000 Larkspur Landing Circle is unrestricted. So we're not quite there yet. The point that we're at today is recommending that the project is complete and that it's time to send the paperwork and documentation to EPA for their final blessing. So it's an important milestone, and our contractor ERRG was a good partner throughout all this project. It really did a good job communicating along the way, and they'll be very pleased if the board acts today, because then the retention will be on its way, right? So So, you know, I wanted to point out before I hand it over to Todd to give some insight from his perspective on this long journey. He's been in it longer than me. So I want to give him a chance to brief the board on his perspective. But I'll point out, as I went through the report, I emphasized that even though there were costs associated with splitting this project into 2 seasons instead of 1, it was a 5-month job. We wanted to try to get it all done in 2019, but there were wet weather risks with a big earth moving project like this. You know, costs, as we discussed in the details of this report, costs did increase when you have wet soils to transport. You know, they're heavier and it costs more. And so we were weighing risks and getting that 5 months in a row, it just wasn't really possible in 2019. And so there were some costs associated with pushing off 2.5 months of work into 2020. But there were other factors along the way where we kind of, you know, in a conservative manner, over-designed the remediation so that the size of the hole that we had to dig and then fill with clean soil ended up being smaller, and there was less hazardous demolition debris left over from the treatment plant, so that we had some lower than expected costs. You know, so there was higher than expected costs due to 2 seasons, but there were lower than expected costs because, you know, based on our conservative assumptions and estimates, we didn't have to dig as big a hole. We didn't have to haul off as much hazardous material and didn't have to backfill as much. But we did have to use more topsoil, and we did have to haul away soils that were heavier. So there was a plus and a minus, and that's what table 1 in the staff report details, that we were 20% above here, 20% below here, and overall we were 6.7% below the contract price. So it was 8.8 million. We came in at 8.2 million for the actual construction. Table 2, though, of the staff report on page 5 of 9 or 55 of 112 of the board packet shows it wasn't just the construction cost. There was site characterization costs, the engineering, environmental. We had to pay for Native American tribe oversight because we did have materials, tribal cultural materials on site to be managed. The city of Larkspur had grading permit fees that were quite substantial. And all of that adds up to an overall $10 million project, just over 10 million. So that, you know, if we were to do an early call on the bond as we designed to help fund this cleanup, we have an actual project cost that's about $10 million that we could use to justify an early call on that bond. If there's a real estate transaction in the near future that would generate that kind of revenue. So I want to point out in the report that we did use this project to kickstart recycled water use from CMSA. They worked hard back during the drought to get their truck fill station up and running. They do some local, you know, irrigation on CMSA's treatment plant property, but it's very modest compared to other Marin County treatment plants. Like Las Colinas and SASM, there's a lot more extensive water recycling, which helps offset potable water use and environmental needs for water in Marin County. So we used the dust control needs of this cleanup project to kickstart dusting off that truck fill station. And then soon after that, we worked with the union here at our collection system staff, worked through the permitting of Marin Municipal Water District, and have now retrofitted 4 sewer cleaning trucks to use recycled water. And we fill up every morning with recycled water from the treatment plant, which is half Ross Valley Sanitary District wastewater that goes in the influent of that treatment plant. So this project is how that got started, and we managed to recycle about 58,000 plus gallons for dust control during the cleanup project. I thought that was a nice achievement along the way. So I've covered a lot of ground. I put a couple of representative photos in the staff report. The first photo shows a picture of the painted rock, or sorry, painted concrete that was excavated. That was over 1,000 milligram per kilogram, and it was the culprit substance that contaminated the surrounding soil was this green paint. And then some visuals, three-dimensional drone photo there of what the excavation looked like. You could hardly tell all that went on now when you go to the site today. And some dramatic photos of the shoring we had to put near the property boundary because we needed to excavate down almost 25 feet right against the property boundary. So we had to put these big shoring walls up against near where the fence was to prevent any kind of caving in. And then I had some historic photos of the old treatment plant so that you could look where those old clarifier holes were dug, you know, where the clarifier was below grade, right? So when the treatment plant was demolished, those were large pre-excavated areas that the debris was thrown into and then backfilled in 1999. So, and the going theory is that the administration building in photo 5 was repainted in the either late 70s or early 80s with this green paint that may have been the culprit, but we don't know that for sure, but that's our going theory. And with that, thanks Todd for letting me tell the story from staff perspective, and welcome you to offer any perspective and other things that I may have overlooked in my briefing. Thanks, Todd.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Steve. I think you covered it really well. You know, it's been a long haul over quite so many years that we've tried to work with EPA to get this project going. It was 2 long years or 2 long construction seasons, so it seemed, but we finally got there. Just a couple of things to note. So Steve talked about unrestricted access or unrestricted land use. The remediation goal that was set for this project was 0.24 milligram per kilogram in soil total PCBs. Normally what you would do is you would collect a lot of data. You would take a average of that concentration or an upper confidence limit, and 95% upper confidence limit. And then you would show the agency that we're below that 0.24, that our maximum concentration on site wouldn't exceed it. For this particular site, we didn't need to do that because we dug every location to a point where we're below the 0.24. So there shouldn't be any question in EPA's mind when they look at the final results that we achieved the goal we set out to achieve. There also shouldn't be any question in their mind that we performed the work in a manner acceptable to them, because we had weekly calls, if not daily calls, with EPA explaining what was going on, seeking their input, adjusting our activities on site relative to their desires. A lot of times it didn't make sense for what they were asking, but the ultimate decision was if that's what they need in order to feel comfortable to get the, to sign off at the end of the day, that's what we're willing to do. So, had we established some higher level where we were going to evaluate risks at the end of the project, some of the activities we took out there at their request, we may have not done. But we did really expend every effort to work with EPA to make sure when it came to this point here where we're almost ready to submit that draft report, that when it hits EPA's desks, hopefully it's a quick review, hopefully it's met with a very positive outcome, and they can use this project as a windfall in their banks to show the public that yes, sites can be remediated, they can be remediated, we'll say relatively quickly. And they can meet goals that are set out. So, and as Steve indicated, not only did we use wastewater or recycled water on site as dust control, but the groundwater. One of the interesting things that occurred on this site is when we did the initial investigation, even when we did the geotechnical investigation 3 months before or 2 months before implementing the excavation project, we didn't see any groundwater on site when we opened up the boreholes. Yet when we dug down to 12 or 13 feet below ground surface, and most of our borings went to 20 or 25 feet, when we dug down to 10 to 12 feet, we encountered groundwater. So we encountered groundwater much more shallow than anticipated. Ultimately, every ounce of groundwater that we pulled out of the excavation to keep the excavation dry was actually reused as dust control. So we were looking for every opportunity to make sure that we were environmentally friendly and doing things in a best management practice to aid the district not only in reducing costs, but also being a good steward for the environment. So I think those are the only additions I have, Steve. I mean, we're excited to get to this point, and I'm real excited to get that report out to EPA and see what they say.
That's
And
great.
yes, I'll reiterate that ERG did a fantastic job. I've worked with them on multiple projects. They really came with a good team. They really worked with us and worked with the district. There were hiccups along the way, just like any other construction project, but they were very proactive in working with us to resolve those issues. And not speaking for the district, but Steve, I think I would be more than happy to work with them again on another large project. So
Here.
Yes, absolutely. They do deserve credit. And, I had Todd include all these maps from the forthcoming completion report just for your viewing pleasure. But as I pointed out in the finance committee, the last couple of maps show how painstaking our work was to demonstrate every last sample of what we were leaving behind was below that 0.24 milligram per kilogram PCB level. It's just an extraordinary demonstration. These little grids that we sampled, which the idea was that we had these temporary stockpiles of marginally contaminated soil that we were off hauling. We needed to show EPA that once we removed those stockpiles, we did a very careful grid sampling there to make sure there wasn't any residual contamination of those stockpiles. And so that's what all that those grids are in those last couple of maps. So it really, as Todd alluded, we took every measure. If EPA needed to make sure that this particularly piece of demolition debris that we didn't expect didn't have any contamination, we spared no effort to make sure we got all the samples and had them sign off on it before we sent it to the municipal landfill. So this was an ongoing attention to detail through the project, such that I believe, on October 30th, when Todd and I met with EPA, they basically gave their verbal approval. That she said it's been cleaned. And it's just a matter of us doing a good job of this completion report, documenting everything we went over in that meeting, but also, in the weekly meetings leading up to this, that when we ran into unknown situations, we shared it with the federal regulator. They figured out what they needed to be comfortable moving forward, and we executed per their direction. So I think we're in a good place. I want to give Todd a lot of credit for being responsive along the way, making sure that EPA had what they needed, the contractor had what they needed to move forward and meet the schedules. Yeah, I think we're in a good place now to recommend the board approve the notice of completion.
Right, board members, any questions of Todd or Steve on this? Tom, is that a hand?
Yes. I'm very pleased to see that we came in under budget on the $8.8 million bid, because I was at the bid opening when we took bids from contractors, and there were 4 bids. 2 were pretty close to this. I mean, one other was pretty close to this bid, but the other 2 were like $12 and $13 million. So this project could have, it could have been a lot more, even though it's a tremendous cost. It's one of our biggest projects that we've done. And it's very complicated. And I was really interested in the maps in the background, how many additional boreholes EPA made us dig. Remember, when we started this project, we dug boreholes at 25-foot centers, I think it was, over the entire area. And then they had us drill who knows how many again. And in finance committee, we learned, the problem area is 50 parts per million. We got it down, and over 50 is a hazardous waste, under 50 is something else. We got it down to 0.25 parts over the entire site, which is,
Yep.
minimus supposed to be. So anyway, quite a successful project. Expensive. And how long have you been working on it, Todd? More than 5 years?
My first envoy into this was as part of the support team for the lawsuit with Campus St. James.
Oh,
So that's when I first got involved. I was at a completely different company, and that got settled, and we all moved on. And then I got a call a couple years later. So quite a while.
it got settled for 4.75 million that this we paid to campus.
Yep.
Well, screw up.
Yes, that's
Well,
the bad history of this property.
It is.
All right, anything else from board members? And you want to say something, Michael?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just waving. No. No, listen, I've been on the board for a little over 6 years now, and we've really moved a lot of everything into the right direction. I think so. My opinion. And this piece of property and the remediation of it is really, in my opinion, the last piece of huge project that started a long, long time ago. And it's been a weight on the district for many, many years. And now I think we can really, really move forward and do the things we're meant to be doing. So I'm really glad that this happened so that we can move forward. So congratulations, Steve, Felicia,
Todd.
Greg Norby, everybody. So thank you.
Great. All right, I
did tell Greg in an email in September that we finished the cleanup, and he was effused happiness, and is so happy to hear that we had gotten to this milestone, because it was
I'm sure he was surprised it ever got started.
I don't know if we have any public on the line, but is there any public comment on this item? Okay. Pam, did you raise your hand for a moment, or did I misinterpret that? Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion if there's no more discussion.
So I move that we adopt resolution number 20-1599, approving final acceptance and authorizing general manager to file notice of completion for the Larkspur excavation and remediation project, 2000 Larkspur Landing Circle, Larkspur, California, with ERRG Inc. project number 900.
I'll second.
Thank you. Julia, roll call vote, please.
Yes, thank you. Borstein,
Exuberantly, yes.
Gaffney,
Yes.
Kelly,
Hell yes.
Beggs,
Yes.
Scylla.
Yes.
Unanimous vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members. Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Todd. Have a good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Now we're back to agenda item number 8, committees report out. The Finance Committee, Tom, do you want to give us a little report on the Finance Committee, please?
Yeah, okay. Well, Mary and I met yesterday, and we reviewed the October financial statements. And that's one of the lowest parts of the year for our cash flow. Year to date, expenses have exceeded revenues by $16 million, but we're supposed to get a chunk of money for both over 50% of our property taxes and service charges any day now. So that's to be expected. We're into our operating fund reserve. That's what it's there for. And but it's our low cash period for the year. We also reviewed the annual contract, two contract renewals, and they're both for technology items. One of them was for the smart covers. That's no increase on that. We have 35 smart covers. We're buying 25 more. So they didn't raise our price this year, but when the 25 arrive, there will be an increase in price proportionally. So that's what we, the board has voted on. The CSMM Innovise group has really helped us with our technology, and it's reduced staffing requirements to respond to project emergencies and that type of thing, and let us know. But they've got a fairly substantial increase, up to, I think it's from 50 something to 70 something thousand dollars. But the service does pay for itself over and above. And then the other thing that the finance committee spent some time on was the Cassell information, and we went over a lot of the financials on that. And that's a great group, but it's the low cost bid, so we're very much in favor of that. We'll discuss it though. We did discuss it. That's it.
Thank you. Did the ad hoc facilities committee meet?
No.
CMSA?
Yeah, I'll if Doug, if I'll start it, or sure. So it was a pretty light meeting. One of the things, and we used our model over here at RVSD. We suggested some kind of assistant general manager, because we thought it would be a good idea if anything, God forbid, should happen to Jason, or he was on vacation for an extended period of time, that there should be somebody designated who can take more of an active role in the whole thing. And so the assistant, right now, the treatment plant manager, who's been there for a long time, Chris Finton, is going to be that role, and he has the confidence of Jason, and we'll be taking a lot more. We're going to get to see him as board members, telling us things about the plant, which I think would be really interesting to get to see more of that. We're going ahead. We decided on the construction management support services for the installation of our new cogeneration installation project. And so we're very excited to get that going, because it means a year from now, we're going to be being able to produce a whole lot more energy, because the new engine is not only more capacity, but 30% more efficient than the old Wasatch engine, which will remain in place, but be used as a backup engine when we have to do maintenance on the new Jenbacher engine. Pretty cool. In different districts in the county, working with each other. We're going to be doing a feasibility study with Las Colinas to take some of our waste that we send to landfill and send it to Las Colinas. And they've got lots of acreage, and they're looking to do that. And it means we have another place in our arsenal that we can bring the treated waste, the biosolids. We got the CAFR and the PAFR put out, and I think Doug reminded me, it's 18 years that we've won an award for CAFR and PAFR. So they're very, very good about that.
18 and 13. 18 and 13.
13 for the PAFR. We're going to be redoing our strategic business plan, renewing it for another 5 years. And so we signed an agreement with EPC Consultants, and that I'm excited to look at that. And I think, Doug, anything else?
No, I think you did a fine job. That was good.
There you go.
We made another, I would say one thing, we did make another $5,146.36 selling energy to Marin Clean Energy. That was the last month. So that adds up. Beats paying for energy.
That's
good
great.
news. In the recent BACWA executive committee, there's a good report on biosolids. And so your report on the cooperative agreement with Las Colinas is actually pretty timely, because there's a shift right now with the approvals because of the state laws to reduce organic material in landfills. There's pressure on us POTWs to come up with alternatives to the the ways we manage biosolids. And so that's good to hear, because actually, what really stuck out in that report that I reviewed was how cheap, how inexpensive biosolids management is in 2 treatment plants in the Bay Area. Guess which 2? Nevada and Las Colinas.
Yep.
Much more inexpensive than everywhere else. And why? On-site disposal. So I can see where that was a fiscally smart move by CMSA to do that, to partner with Las Colinas, because there is a fair amount of land out there and capacity for on-site disposal of biosolids. So very interesting. Thank you.
Also, stuff that we have talked about in the past over there, and you may have noticed in Saturday's Independent Journal, is that Marin Transit, which currently parks some buses on that 2-acre area over there, Marin Transit has said that they're going to buy a whole lot more. No, not a whole lot more. They're going to buy not hybrid buses, but completely electric buses starting this year. And the Marin Airporter, which is has an agreement with Marin Transit to take care and drive some of their buses. I'm hopeful. I don't know how it's going to work legally or anything else, but they will be able to charge those buses on site at Marin Transit, because I think that at CMSA, because I think that would be so complex, such an amazing story if we could generate all the power off the grid to charge those buses. That would really guarantee anyway, we would be nationwide, we'd be the first. So that would be very cool.
That's great. Thank you, Michael. North Bay Watershed Association. Pam, you're still on mute.
So we had a presentation from the Bay Restoration Regulatory Integration Team, and that was by Amy Hutzel from a Deputy Executive Office, the State Coastal Conservancy, Luisa Balia in the EPA Region 9, San Francisco Bay Program, and Ollie Weber Strover also was a BRRIT NOAA rep. So they did an overview of the San Francisco Bay Restoration Regulatory Integration Team. And they talked about how they help and support and improve the permitting process for multi-benefit wetland restoration, also associated with flood management and public access infrastructure projects in the San Francisco Bay and along the Bay shoreline. When I get all the, Andy Rogers is amazing with his notes. So I know I sent you the last month's notes. So as soon as I get them, I will forward them on to you. But it was really interesting to see the supportive group and what they do in the process to get ready to help these projects or these agencies prepare, because it's complicated. There's funding issues, there's all kinds, they actually come out to the sites. So it's kind of like a therapy group. It really helps them prepare and get through the process. And then they also look at the project to see if it's worthy, et cetera. So that was it. We had to cancel our annual workshop because of COVID, and we were thinking about doing it this year, but we're not. We're going to put it off. It just seems to be too much. And I believe there's, I think there's one more new member, and I think it was Solano County. So that's it.
Thank you. Agenda item number 9, verbal report by general manager. Steve?
Yes, I've got 4 things, but I'll be real brief about all 4. First, I'm pleased to announce that we have hired our new operations superintendent, and he has begun working here as of Monday, December 14th. We welcome Ben Connor. I've got some notes here. He has 25 years of maintenance work experience, and he specializes in mechanical and electrical systems. He most recently worked for the city of Petaluma for the last 10 years in various maintenance and supervisory positions. And when he was working in Petaluma, he managed maintenance and repair of pump stations, the wastewater plant and stormwater pump stations, as well as recycled water delivery. And so he lives up in Sonoma County, like the person he reports to, who's here on the screen, operation maintenance manager, Stephen Mixes. So we're thrilled to have Ben. His skill set and his temperament fit great with our team, and we're looking forward to working with him and him enhancing our operation and maintenance focus here at the district. And second, also in the operation and maintenance side of the house, we just received a draft of the competency assessments from Jim McPherson. And this is a great milestone in that journey because we just completed the third-party assessments on several specific pieces of equipment or procedures, including the VACON operator, the big vacuum and jetting truck, but also the Harbin operator, the Vector ramjets. So those are the 2 different kind of sewer cleaning vehicles. Generac generators at our pump stations, portable pump bypass when we have to set that up during wet weather and other reasons, during maintenance, using the personal gas detector, sanitary sewer overflow response, and the line maintenance general work orders. And so there's a lot of work done between September and just the beginning of this month. And, the punchline is our staff, as expected, are very skilled and knowledgeable in using this equipment. But they're also, things were done right because we had the joint management labor agreement going in. So there was an acceptance and trust of the system that we were employing, that we weren't in it to, in any kind of punitive or judgmental way. The purpose of this is to develop individualized training programs. And through this third-party assessment, we really have detailed training programs that are tailored to each individual staff member going forward. And so this draft report is a milestone that sets up the necessary training going forward. And we even have our quarterly training committee meeting tomorrow morning. So I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit, about how this sets the stage. So that we're pleased to let the board know that this effort is really bearing fruit. And then quickly, I'll say on the Comcast building, we received the 1111 Anderson, we received the building access key so we can get in, and that's important because we can now proceed with development of the construction drawings, such as the mechanical, the electrical, the plumbing. We really needed access to the building to kickstart that effort. So that's underway. And then finally, our important process with Larkspur Landing and the property disposition, we're planning another informational presentation in late January, and we'll work with you board members to figure out the right date, but we're planning to have it after the next regular board meeting, January 20th. And we'll have a focus in that meeting on the Surplus Lands Act and how it affects the property disposition at 2000 Larkspur Landing Circle. And that's all I have with my general manager update.
Thank you. I saw Steven smile when Ben Connor got named, so I guess he must be a good catch. Okay, I look forward to meeting him.
How's Petaluma feel about us stealing all their people? We're engineered.
Not our problem.
I don't want to say it in a board meeting.
Okay, agenda
They're
item
a
number
good training ground.
agenda item number 10, verbal report by board members or requests for future items. Do we have any board members who want to make a report or request future items? Pam?
I just want to make a brief comment. That's okay. I attended the Victory Village celebration, and there was a lovely comment that I sent to Mary and Steve Moore about, you know, our money helped really start that fund at the bank without giving them that hookup fee discount. So just to let you all know, there were like almost 100 people on the Zoom today. So it was quite a lovely gathering, and got to meet, they had some interviews and a little video of some of the residents. So it's all senior citizens there. I think it's 54 units.
Thank you. Yeah, I got that email. Steve, would you forward that to the other board members? I thought I might be violating the Brown Act if I did.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'll BCC everyone. So thank
Okay.
you,
Oh, that's a good idea.
Director Meggs. Thanks for forwarding that along. That's great to hear. And you know, it was a mutually beneficial project. You know, it was a pleasure working with them and extending and improving our sewer system leading up to their project. You know, in addition to the incentives that the board provided as far as capacity charges. So it was a very.
I think we're famous now. I think we're famous because without that money, the bank was not going to give them that loan. They needed that extra money. So it's all wrapped around the Ross Valley Sanitary District.
Well, we all benefit.
Are they going to qualify for the reduced service charge? Are they one of the groups that's going to get qualify for our?
I'll ask the mayor here in town, and I'll ask the lady who did the presentation today. Because I don't know.
I saw Felicia nod, and I think Felicia knows the details. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
They will
Absolutely.
Felicia, they will qualify? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they absolutely will.
Okay.
And actually, I mean, you know, I remember saying, you know, we can't be Santa Claus all the time, but we can be sometimes. And then if you think about the capacity charges we're getting from the hospital, like we're doing okay on capacity charges, and we can be the Robin Hood of sanitary districts. Thank you. Okay, any other board members have any comments or requests for future items at this point? All right, then moving on to our consent calendar. Does anyone want to pull anything from the consent calendar this month? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to move the consent calendar.
I move
So
approval.
moved. Second.
Okay, Tom moved, Doug second. Julia, roll call, please.
Yes, thank you. Borstein,
Yes.
Gaffney,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Meggs,
Yes.
Philip,
Yes.
unanimous vote. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and since we've already done 12 and 13, we get to go to the informational items. Steve, anything you want to highlight for us? Looks like we had one little construction related spill, unfortunately.
Yeah, we had an SSO, but we also within the items of note on page 3 of the report, which is what is it? Page 101 of the packet. I will point out that Stephen Mixis and especially Noel Sandoval stepped up to do what we had identified as a business plan priority based on the PSPS experience. the Kerner building really had a substandard backup power system, and we really need that to be reliable because of our server here, you know, among other just functionality of the office building. You know, there was only a handful of rooms that got power for the backup power. So a business plan item was scoped out. We received bids. We selected a competent bidder that came up with a system. And ultimately, we can now hook up a portable generator, the type we can rent from United Rentals or Rain for Rent or whomever, and just plug it up. There's a switch that's been installed in the building, and we can get the whole building has backup power now, thanks to this work. And it wasn't, it was within my spending authority. It was wasn't that expensive when you think about the capability we have now to withstand a PSPS. So wasn't it on the order of about $12,000 or something?
Yes.
Or 15, or, you know, but it was, all in all, we actually had a low bid, but we evaluated the expertise of that company, and we selected somebody who was more competent. Still, it was a good price. And so I just wanted to thank Noel and Stephen. And is there someone else we should thank too?
Mostly Noel, but I'll take a little credit.
Yeah. Yeah, I get, you know, there's always a team of folks involved, so I want to make sure people get credit. But
Is there any opportunity, Steve, is there any opportunity that we could use one of our generators? Because I'm thinking if the power gets shut off, everybody's going to want one of those generators. Do we have a generator that we could?
There's a lot of operational resiliency with like Steve Moore said, with United, Herc Reynolds. We do have 2 towable generators on, available for the district. We're renting one, we own one, but I do not see a high risk of being able to get a generator. We also have a formal agreement with various treatment plants in the area that have their own towable generators. So we're in good shape.
Good. That's good.
What's the plan? What's the plan for the Comcast building?
Well, they actually, there is a generator there.
Correct.
When we did the due diligence during that property purchase, we identified that as an asset. But I don't have, off the top of my head, I don't know what kind of condition it's in. We'd have to look back at that, but it seemed to not be a big concern at the time, if I recall correctly.
Correct.
Yeah, that's correct. I know it's a significantly sized generator that powers that entire building. But to Steve's point, I don't recall exactly how old it is. But I do believe that Comcast maintained it regularly, and we'll go in and assess it when the time is right.
Yeah. So that's what I have on any highlights there on the metrics report. So, but I'm pretty excited to introduce the next item. Are there any other questions about the metrics report?
Oh. Well, continued good work.
Mary, you're on mute.
What's the next item? I thought we were on the last item.
I'll be very.
We're pleased to introduce, per the request of the board members, particularly, I think board member Borstein asked about if we could have an update on technology.
Got it.
And so I'm pleased to introduce our operation and maintenance manager, Mr. Stephen Mixis, who gave a similar presentation to the Bay Work group about the use of technology here at Ross Valley Sanitary District. And after reviewing this with him, I thought, well, this covers a lot of the ground I think the board would be interested in learning about. And so I want to just encourage Mr. Mixis to share what we're using in technology to enhance our efficiency and effectiveness and increase the data quality we use to make data-driven decisions. So with that, Mr. Mix, take it away.
All right, can everyone hear me? I'm new to GoToMeeting and sharing screen. Yes? Okay. So we are well known within the industry, BACWA, CASA, CASI, CWA, of having some of the latest cutting edge / bleeding edge technology. I constantly come to you guys, to the board, you know, requesting new equipment. What I want to do, and I'm excited to do this, is every month show you how this technology is actually affecting our work and enhancing our effectiveness and efficiencies. So we have a bunch of individuals that work at Ross Valley that are highly technical. We love computer software. We love looking at other industries and how they use it. And my main focus is looking at the oil and gas companies, because they're a lot more advanced than we are, wastewater collections and water. So I've been, over the last 10 years, looking into all kinds of various technologies, and I'll go really quickly. I know everyone probably wants to get offline here, but we're looking at all kinds of things that we can integrate into the CMMS, our ArcGIS system, the geodatabase system, and make them interact behind the scenes so we don't have to have employees doing it. It's all automated. And I will definitely give a shout out to Patrick Filippelli for all of his help. So, you know, we show you a map, it looks amazing, but there's a lot that goes into developing the map, enhancing the map, making sure you have the right, you know, everything's GPS located, and asset management is knowing what you own, where it is, what condition, what the life cycle is, so that we can bring information to the board and for future capital projects. So we do a lot of things at Ross Valley, and it's behind the scenes. We don't, I don't report out a lot to you, to the board members, but what I'd like to do for, you know, 10, 15 minutes, potentially every board meeting, is show you how we're making a difference, and we are. We got a great bunch of guys and out in the field doing all kinds of wonderful work. And one of the things is, we have a lot of highly technical aspects at all our stations, all our equipment, and that's why we developed the competency-based training and assessments system. Like General Manager Moore said, I'm very happy that we just got through the first assessments, but then again, we have hundreds of more to do to bring and train our individuals to the Delta. So how do we get there? We look into the latest and greatest technology because it saves time, it reduces the amount of potential FTEs you need to complete the same amount of work that would potentially take 4 guys or 4 staff members, 3 staff members. We can now do it with 2 staff members on certain occasions. Before you is a bunch of pictures of what is in the new IBOC truck. That was a very expensive piece of equipment. The quality of data, I cannot stress, is amazing compared to what we had before. And I was on a Bay Work meeting this morning explaining the quality lets you make better data-driven decisions in the future. So we have a very robust CMMS. I personally think it's one of the better ones out there. It was part of the staff report today. The amount of detail and analytics you can do with this software is phenomenal. And that also allows us to be more efficient. When I first started here, we had 5 cleaning crews. We're down to 2 cleaning crews because we're more efficient, because I can click on any of these parcels, anything on this screen, and I can get the entire history of the pipe, the asset, the parcel, the lateral grant, any capital projects. And so the flow of information goes so much quicker, and information to field staff and to management and supervisors is key. Again, we have all our CCTV data that's right away accessible to field staff, and I used it over the weekend. I was able to VPN in, understand what's going on in a situation. It was not us. But the ability to get that information super quickly and not hire the Roys and Roto-Rooters and have them come out and do it for us like other neighboring agencies do is a real benefit. This is where I'm really excited on, and I've been getting calls all over, actually somewhat international now. We have a lot of augmented and virtual reality things we're looking into. We're looking and taking all of our SOPs and basically creating 3D environments for training. We're looking at using augmented reality for inspections through VGIS, and I'll show you a picture of that soon. Condition assessment, being able to record data in real time and geolocate it through a GNSS unit, which was the first screen I showed you. Remote assistance is when I showed Ben what we can potentially do with a HoloLens, he was absolutely blown away. And just for first responders, when you show up on a site, you want to know what's going on, you want to know the history right away. So here's potentially one of our SOPs. They're incredible, they're highly detailed, but when you can put them into augmented reality and using Microsoft products through 365, you can create holograms. And I know it sounds weird, and I look forward to showing the board this. I'm super excited. We're also looking at creating virtual reality environments where we can do anything in our lift stations, pump stations, by people putting on an Oculus headgear, a Hive XTC, and actually walking around a pump station with remote control with the headgear on, and you can be in the same environment as your supervisor. And he can delegate and show you what to do without being in the pump station, which, everything's recorded and there's metrics reports. So I'm working with pixovr.com on that. Here's another example of confined space. We do confined space all the time, but you know, certain crews, they're on the condition assessment crew for a long time and they don't have access or haven't done confined space. Well, we can run them through a virtual reality training session and just make sure they're caught up, they understand the risks and anything that can possibly go wrong. Here's someone with an arc flash shield on for his helmet, and you know, this is working at some of the larger stations on 480, but we can simulate actually what we do on how to inspect in virtual reality, and everything captured, and then we can do you know, train to the delta on what they knew, what they didn't know. And I've gone through this. It is amazing when you put the headset on. For instance, you can create a 3D model of your entire pump station. We have 3 companies that are interested. David Patzer with DKF Solution Groups is really interested in what we're trying to do. And a lot of these companies are doing it basically for free because they're interested, because they've never heard of anything, any interest from wastewater. And Ross Valley was the first to come, you know, come and talk to them. So anything you see in the future, it's they're going to do it as pro bono. Like I said, access to information is essential for an essential worker. The HoloLens 2, I don't know if I'm on screen, but I do have one here. And this allows me to see everything in the field in an augmented reality. And I tell you, this does not do it justice. The pictures will not do it justice. I'd be more than happy when COVID is done to bring you out to the field and show you, or any other constituent, what we can do with this. So what you're seeing right now is someone in front of a panel, but in a hologram, the instructor, the supervisor, the manager is right there. So I can sit here at home during a rainstorm and look through their eyes with their HoloLens and guide them through an issue, which saves time. I can also train an individual on how to rebuild pumps and do maintenance. And again, it's in a hologram. You're actually working on the piece of equipment. That's the main thing with the collection system worker. You need them hands-on, reading books, reading PowerPoints, it's death by PowerPoint, but I can actually watch them hands-on and see how they move all the parts. And in a future video, I will show you exactly how that works. We also are looking in next Tuesday. We're meeting with a local vendor, and we're going to be looking at a GPS unit that will save a phenomenal amount of time and geolocating all of our assets, which would generally take one person, several hours to do 3 or 4 sewer lines. We can go out and do 20 or 30. Now, here's the augmented reality. If I were to have that headset on or my phone, I could see all the utilities in the ground. So, if I'm over by PS15, I could look around with my phone and I could see the depth, I could see all the water lines and any other nodes that we have. And the condition assessment for an overflow, if it would come out of the manhole, I would know exactly where the storm drain is. I would know where the creek is. I would be able to go put it in sandbag, try and pick it off and protect the creek in basically real time. We just got VGIS, and what we also can do is create augmented reality. And I plan on doing a whole special session on this because this is amazing. All future capital projects can be used and documented with an augmented reality capture on a phone, such as an iPhone 12. And all you do is walk around and it'll stitch in a 3D reality. And we will always have that data on where our pipe was, and it's all geolocated, tied to the LECA system GIS and to the ArcGIS, and it's all simulated. So we're creating less work and more effectiveness and proficiency. Virtual environments, we've scanned all of our larger stations, the little, they call them matter tags in the stations. We are gonna basically attach all our SOPs and our lockout tagouts, and then all employees will have access to that information before they de-energize the equipment. They know how it works. It's all going to be on Azure, the videos and everything the operator needs to do to accomplish the job safely will be available to that individual, and the supervisor can monitor. And here is basically a 3D environment. If we were to put on a VR gear, we could walk through our entire station with the little joysticks and touch upon every one of these Matterport tags and look into it. And see what's the name of it, what's the serial number. It's all part of asset management. We're tying safety and the actual videos of how to operate the equipment. And here's a three-dimensional scan. And what happens is we have a lot of crew shifts. So some people aren't on the pump crew for a couple of years. In the future, especially with Ben now here, I can be able to run people through refresher courses every quarter, and it reduces risk if in case something went wrong. Again, access to information is key for a high-performing agency. I've just shown Ben some of the things we're doing. I was happy to hear that Petaluma does not have any of these things. So we're really happy with that. We also have a lot more ideas in the future, but we're going slow because we obviously have to do our normal day job. So, and lastly, fleet management. We're very proud of that. I look forward to showing the board how we made huge successes on various route takings by certain individuals and focusing them into the right grouping, because every time a truck drives, those are all the points that the truck was that day, the various trucks in different colors. So that's really helped me be able to take 5 cleaning crews to 2 cleaning crews, and then open it up to a trenchless repair crew, adding people to condition assessment. And the benefits are, I'm really proud of what the supervisors and Patrick and Steve and Felicia have allowed me to do. And lastly, this summer, we are talking with people about using drones and LiDAR mapping, and that would be for smoke testing, but obviously there's a lot of hurdles and everything else, so we're going to go very slow with that. And sorry for taking so much time, but that would be it. If Julia, you could, how do I give back control?
You don't need to.
You did.
I made myself the presenter again.
Stephen, that was great. I think the more technology we can use, the more money we can save, and the better job we'll do for our ratepayers. It's just absolutely the great way to do it. And I think started with some of the smaller technologies like smart meters, but you're really going to huge efforts, and I think it's great, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, it makes the smart covers look like the Stone Age suddenly.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Very amazing, Stephen. Thank you.
And also, I mean, when you think about it, you think about the technology costs we were talking about in the tens of thousands. But when you think about saving, you know, an FTE, which is in the 150,000 at least with benefits for a type of agency like this, yeah, we can buy a lot of software if it's helping us save FTEs.
Also, in my mind, one of the most important things is the safety aspect. Is that if we do have an SSO or some other big thing happen in the system, we don't have to start going back and looking for information at the district and trying to figure out what's going on. We can have people on site with their handhelds and getting instantaneous information to solve the problem before it becomes a serious problem, which helps us with safety in the community. So this is absolutely phenomenal and necessary, and I'm looking forward to all Steve's looking at whatever we can do into the future. Looking forward to
I look forward to every month. Absolutely.
I got to tell you, it's the most understated agenda item I think I've ever seen. 14B, technology report. We didn't know we were going to get blown away with drones, etc. All right, thank you very much, Stephen. And thank you, Steve, for you know, enabling this kind of stuff. It's excellent.
Yeah, we look forward to providing more in the future. This is a nice overview that Stephen put together. But we'll drill down to some specific technologies as the months go by.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else? If not, I'll adjourn the meeting and our next meeting is January 21st. So have a happy
20th.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Happy holidays, happy new year. Thanks, board.
Good night. Happy holidays all.